Joe Scarborough got very angry this morning because some players on the Rams showed support for Mike Brown. They did the hands up, don't shoot thing. So let's watch this, and then we'll show you why this is quite embarrassing.
I want to talk about the Rams first. So the NFL, don't they have the right to tell players not to wear socks and are a certain way and what? I mean, they control everything about them.
Whether or not you think the Rams players should be punished, within the NFL, if your socks are down, they're not the right height, you get fined for it. If you dance a little too long in the end zone, you get fined for it. They have all these crazy rules to keep the brand uniform, to keep everybody on message.
So, but these players can suggest that the St. Louis cops shoot black youth with their hands up in the air. That's cool with the NFL. That's cool with the St. Louis Rams. That's cool to suggest that St. Louis police officers in the town, probably a lot who go to the games and watch the games and are fans, the St. Louis Rams think it's cool for them to suggest that St. Louis cops shoot young black men who have hands up in the air when we know that that was a lie. It's a lie. And what was that gesture on Capitol Hill? Are more people like going, oh, it doesn't matter whether it's the truth or not? I'm going to suggest that cops shoot people with their hands up in the air? What is wrong with this country?
These are elected officials.
What is wrong with these people? What's wrong with these elected officials? They know it's a lie. They know the cops didn't shoot him with his hands in the air. They know it's a lie. And they're doing this on that Capitol floor?
Well, hold on a second.
Congressman Jeffries, you saw there of New York, and two others as well. Yeah, did that on the floor.
Unbelievable.
Congressman Green of Texas and Congresswoman Clark, also of New York, making the hands up, don't shoot gesture on the floor of the House yesterday.
Well, boy, that would really be moving if it were the truth. Like I said yesterday, why don't they put flying saucers on top of their heads and say, if only Michael Brown had not been transported up to Venus.
I'm not even going to say anything. Just roll the CNN tape.
Just after 12 noon, Ferguson, Missouri. The men you see in this exclusive cell phone video hear gunshots. They are about 50 feet away from Michael Brown and Officer Darren Wilson. The unidentified person recording this video captured the witness's reaction during the final moments of the shooting. Both men were contractors working in the area. They did not want to be identified.
Quote, he had his fucking hands in the air. But you're a liar if you say he had his hands in the air. Stupid Democrats. They know they're lying. They're lying. Now, I could have put together a montage, a giant compilation of all the people who said that he has had his hands in the air, but I didn't. And here's why I didn't. Because, sure, some of the people contradicted their stories at some point, or they have some sort of conflict of interest where somebody could argue, hey, come on, this person knew Michael Brown, they were friends with him, so they'd lie to help out their buddy. So I didn't even put together the montage. But this video that I just showed you is most important because the person that they caught saying that, he didn't even know he was on camera. He did not know he was on camera. He was a contractor. He has no stake in this for or against Mike Brown or Darren Wilson. So he saw it happen right in front of him, and then he's screaming. He had his fucking hands in the air. Why'd you do that? And then later on, somebody else says, that guy wasn't a threat to anybody. So, Joe Scarborough, you're just embarrassing. Understand something. We did multiple segments where I went into great detail about what happened that day in Ferguson, Missouri. I went through all of the forensic evidence, all of the news reports, all of the other evidence. And one of the things that is fairly well established, Joe, is that his hands were in the air. So, are you going to apologize for calling people liars and talking about how they're stupid and they're crazy and they're wrong when it's you who didn't do your research and you who doesn't know what you're talking about? I've never heard anybody say anything so authoritatively, like they're so sure they're right and it's correct and it's factual and we know this. And meanwhile, he's totally disregarding the facts of the situation, and he's totally disregarding the plethora of evidence that says his hands were in the air, and he's also disregarding the other basic facts of the case, that he was gunned down when he was between 8 feet and 35 feet away. Oh, yes, you're in mortal danger, aren't you, Darren Wilson, when the person is 8 feet to 35 feet away. And again, according to the reports, he ran away to get away from Darren Wilson. Then he heard the shots being fired, and then he turned around and got gunned down when he was 8 to 35 feet away. Darren Wilson claims he charged him. Right, he ran into a hail of bullets in front of his face because he's fucking Superman and he can eat bullets, right? I don't believe that. He died between 8 and 35 feet away from Darren Wilson, so it was not an immediate threat, and he did not have to pull the trigger. And again, don't take my word for it. Go read all the evidence for yourself. We got nothing to hide here on Secular Talk. We care about the facts and the facts alone. Go ahead. If you read and you come to a different conclusion, by all means, that's your right as an American. But I read through all the evidence. I read through all the eyewitness reports. I read through everything I could possibly get my hands on. And to me, the most credible and convincing piece of evidence on this particular issue of hands in the air versus not in the air would be the totally unbiased contractor who saw it happen, didn't even know he was being recorded, and he says he had his fucking hands in the air. I don't know why you did that. So, but will Joe Scarborough come out and apologize? No, of course not. Because here's the thing. This reminds me, Joe doing what he did here, it reminds me of what Nate Silver said about Joe Scarborough. I don't know how many of you guys remember this, but back during the 2012 election, Nate Silver, who does all these statistics and all this goes through all this polling data to figure out who's going to win the different elections, Nate Silver said, well, according to our recent calculations, this was a few weeks out before the election, he said President Obama has like an 81% chance or something like that of getting elected. And Joe Scarborough went out on his show the next day and he was like, anybody who says that this isn't an exact, equal, even race right now and this isn't a close race has no idea what they're talking about, and they should be kept away from microphones and TV and they shouldn't be allowed to write anything. Now, what did Nate Silver respond with? He's like, dude, who are you? You're a pundit. You know what you do for a living? You talky, all opinion. This is what I think about this situation because I'm a little baby. Meanwhile, what does Nate Silver do? He deals with statistics and facts and numbers. He didn't pull the 81% number out of his rectum like you pull your thoughts out of your rectum, Joe. He actually goes by the data and the research. It takes this thing called hard work to do what Nate Silver does, and mathematical formulas to do what Nate Silver does. But Joe Scarborough, smug as a motherfucker, goes out there, no, this guy's an idiot, it's 50-50, it's not 81%, even though he's doing math and I'm making shit up. Same thing here. How dare the Rams do that? How dare those Congress people do that? They're liars. They know it's fake. They know it's not true that Mike Brown had his hands in the air. It's not like there were independent reports that verified he had his hands in the air, or CNN reports that went into detail about it, or forensic evidence that back it up. Oh, wait, there was?